Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to have this opportunity, at your kind invitation, to address the 5th anniversary annual meeting of the Corporate Eco Forum. Now, I'm particularly sorry that I cannot attend your gathering in person, but I'm most grateful for the opportunity, by way of this video message, to encourage you in the strongest way possible to remove barriers and break new ground, consistent with the theme of your conference. Now, I know full well that the Corporate Eco Forum, CEF, is considered to be among the more important corporate alliances for sustainability issues in the United States, and indeed worldwide. The fact that 80 of the global 500 companies from 20 industries are members of the CEF is highly significant. You represent combined revenues of well over $3 trillion. And so by sharing your knowledge and pooling your leadership, you have created an extremely effective platform for achieving sustainability through problem solving and innovation. As some of you might possibly have heard, I have been promoting the idea of corporate social and environmental responsibility for over 25 years now. When I first spoke about this, it raised a few eyebrows. But now, thankfully, it is gradually becoming more mainstream. The companies you represent have helped to champion the importance of this approach. But there is a long way to go. And if I may be so bold, I would urge your companies and others in the private sector to sharpen the focus on the care of those ecosystems that not only support human welfare, but also underpin your corporate success. As one of your CEOs put it at Rio, our business won't survive if natural ecosystems we depend on collapse. It's that simple. Well, I'm very pleased to see that the Corporate Eco Forum and its member companies have begun addressing this challenge directly by working to assign a value to natural infrastructure, what I would call natural capital. This is a commitment made at last year's Clinton Global Initiative in New York, which was converted at the Rio +20 conference in Brazil into concrete projects on the ground. At Rio, more than 20 companies with collective revenues of over $600 billion, working with the Nature Conservancy, announced a substantial number of projects that demonstrate why business should protect so-called green infrastructure around the world, including forests, freshwater, and marine systems. While the idea of natural capital is a relatively recent part of the debate about the environment and development, it is an absolutely crucial concept for navigating the many challenges that lie ahead, not least because the idea of natural capital helps to dispel the notion that there is somehow a choice between, on the one hand, protecting the environment and sustaining nature, and on the other hand, promoting economic growth and reducing poverty. All economic development is, in the end, dependent on natural capital in some form or other. Soil fertility, freshwater replenishment, clean air, flood protection, disease prevention, genetic diversity, and the stability of the climate all enable development in different ways. In fact, it is scarcely possible to think of a single economic activity that could carry on for very long without these things being available. But that unthinkable situation is fast becoming a possibility. If, ladies and gentlemen, we continue to draw down on this capital without replenishing it, we will visit upon ourselves the sorts of economic, social, and environmental crises that will have fundamental implications not only for how we live our lives today, but also for what we leave for our children and grandchildren. At the moment, we tend to measure the scale of this global environmental crisis in purely non-financial terms, whether it be tons of carbon emitted or the number of species facing extinction. The terms used fail to connect the scale of the environmental crisis we face with the implications it will have for future economic growth and welfare. It is therefore absolutely vital that we have better information about the risks and opportunities that the transition to a sustainable global economy will entail. One thing that strikes me as essential is better information about the state of the earth and the services that nature provides for society. Without this, we operate with only a fraction of the information we need, and perhaps unsurprisingly, we then fail to take the best decisions, either for the economy or the environment. Earlier this year, I was fortunate enough to be able to bring together a group of the world's leading scientists who, in one way or another, undertake assessments of natural capital, but entirely separate from each other. I was enormously encouraged that they agreed to work together with my International Sustainability Unit and reinvigorate their efforts to provide a more coherent and comprehensive picture to policymakers. But we need more than this data, important though it is. If we could take a further step and find ways to translate natural values into economic ones, it seems to me that we would be more likely to make the critical connections between environmental and economic risks. That was the initial idea behind my Accounting for Sustainability project, established in 2004 to work with the accounting and financial sectors. The aim was to address what I felt was a failure to incorporate the value of natural and social capital over the long term into accounting and reporting. A4S, Accounting for Sustainability, have commissioned research to identify what information set would be most useful to finance professionals and other senior decision makers, such as yourselves, if they are to better future-proof their organizations in the decisions they take. This research will be published later this year. In addition, over the next year, A4S will work with the TEEB for Business Coalition and my Cambridge Sustainability Leadership Programme to develop common methodologies and practical approaches that account for natural capital. The aim being to integrate them into business processes and then encourage international consensus and agreement on such systems between government and business. Ladies and gentlemen, the work of your companies in this area will be of critical importance to ensuring that the solutions A4S develops are relevant and useful to business. I know that A4S, my International Sustainability Unit, and the Cambridge Programme have already begun to work in partnership with the Corporate Eco Forum on these issues. And I can only urge you to continue that work, coordinating through the CEF, as well as through my International Sustainability Unit and their representatives in the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, please accept my congratulations for your work so far. History will show how far-sighted you are being, individually and collectively, and you are doing remarkable things. But, dare I say it, more has to be done. It is essential you recognize that you have the means to be a global force for good, to break new ground, so that in 10 years' time, when you look back as business leaders, you can say with real confidence that you did all you could to make a real difference to our global security and to the future of our children and grandchildren.